Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Shaista, your host for the webinar. In today's session, we will be discussing conversational marketing for real-time conversations, benefits of Google Business Message for the brands, followed with a live demo presentation by a solution expert. To take us through the webinar, we have Rob Lawson, Global Partnerships at Google, and Sachin Bhatia, co-founder and head Global Sales and Marketing at Ameyo. Rob Lawson evangelizes the business messaging ecosystem through partnership with brands, bots, CSP, and mobile operators. Before Google, Rob started companies focused on mobile advertising, games, communities, and messaging. A citizen of both the US and the UK, Rob lives in San Francisco Bay Area and enjoys riding bicycle. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Sachin is the co-founder and head global sales and marketing at Ameyo, a computer scientist by education and a product person at heart. Sachin has been involved in understanding needs and delivering customer engagement solutions to consumer-facing companies. He has been working with CIOs and customer experience leaders in over 60 countries over the last 16 years and believes problem in emerging markets needs unique solution. Welcome, Sachin.
Thank you so much, Aista. Very, very happy to be here. And Rob, once again, welcome and thanks for doing this. Shaista was talking about unique solutions, and I believe the one that we are talking about today has a potential to disrupt how acquisition happens through search. And I'm very, very happy and excited, both as founder of Ameyo and also as a product guy who's curious about how products evolve. I think this perhaps is one of the most exciting innovation on the user acquisition side, and also perhaps one of the most interesting facet where search would change going forward for the consumer. Right, a lot of back-end algorithmic search, relevance of search, but search leading to conversations. This perhaps is the biggest change that in recent times would see. Very quick look at what we are going to cover today, and there's a lot to cover, so we'll see if we can cover everything and do justice to each of the topic. We're going to briefly talk about search and customer acquisition, and then a little bit about what can help drive conversion from search. We're going to talk about conversational marketing, the new paradigm. We've all been interacting on messages with brands, and how does that fit into search, and what if we could bring these two concepts together, right? Discovery through search, and then a real-time conversation happening on a messaging interface. We're going to talk about benefits both from customer acquisition as well as the experience or service standpoint. A few success stories that we have seen with GBM, and Rob has been kind enough to bring some of the use cases from India. This is very, very new, guys, hot from the kitchen for brands. And we'll talk about how that, there'll be some interesting side conversations that I'll have with Rob on how did this originate. And then we'll quickly look at features, not probably going in too much detail, and then if time permits, a 10 minutes demo. That's our agenda for the day. In the meantime, a few housekeeping things. If there are any questions, please put them on the chat section. We already asked you guys to ask your questions. Some of them we've been able to shortlist, and we'll take it up with Rob. But feel free, this is a session about conversational marketing, so conversations should keep going. If there are any questions that you have, please put them on the chat window. Quick look at search, and the teams here are very, very familiar with search. We've been having conversations with acquisition heads, digital acquisition heads, online acquisition heads across emerging geos. And by the way, today we are joined by over 300 plus teams from emerging geos, ranging from India, Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia. So I was telling Rob, if this was a room, it would be buzzing with insights. About 70%, and I'm generalizing, but about 70% of the website traffic comes from search, whether it's organic, paid, and that's where discovery of businesses, discovery of products, discovery of services is happening. A lot of it doesn't convert. There are new paradigms like local searches, which again, Google brought in search within maps, ATMs near me, restaurants near me, Haldiram near me. You had those searches coming in, and all of us would have done that while driving, a petrol station near me. But we even started now searching for branded, a barbecue nation near me, for example, right, or a Fortis hospital near me. So those were the trends on the local searches that we observed, and local searches, 46% of the searches is from local, and I think mobile played a very very important role in doing that. It is also mentioned that local searches will continue to grow, and then smartphone searches are leading to most of the purchases. Now, this is quite obvious, and India has seen adoption of data and being discovered through smartphone. But smartphone perhaps is, and for most of you, you would have observed that the consumer-facing brands, there is more searches happening from smartphone and more purchases now happening from smartphone versus the desktop. So we all know that the search is a very important method for or a medium for discovery. Some of the data that our team, we tried searching for local brands and what sort of volumes are they looking at. This is a hospital chain, so Fortis Hospital, and then local searches of Fortis Hospital Bangalore, Fortis Hospital Kolkata. You start seeing those in thousands. Let's look at retail. DMart, a very very popular offline retail player, and DMart near me perhaps is the biggest search term that that is being searched. Now, if you look at how, if you plot the user journey on search, somebody searches on most likely Google. They discover a link and most likely a homepage. They visit that homepage. They either fill a form or they find a contact us, a phone number, and then they call you. Right now, this is a little broken experience that somebody had an intent. They were searching, and then you said, okay, you fill up a form, we'll get in touch with you, or get into that very beautiful IVR experience that all of us have done. Right? All our agents are busy. Don't we all love IVR experiences? Right? I'm an IVR vendor, and I know how irritating it can be, and how organizations are trying to optimize it so that people don't have to wait on those interfaces, pressing 1, 2, 3 all the time. This has two challenges. One, obviously, because of the broken experience, there are 2 or 3 steps involved, and the time taken. There is a very very high chance of a drop off. And the second is, if you're let's say making calls, that's the most expensive method that you could choose to get in touch with the customer. That too with a delay. Right? So let's look at another facet that the current times has seen: messaging. Now, all of us have used Swiggy or Zomato or both. I'll give example from a personal consumer experience. Early days, if the order was not delivered, one was calling up, and then there was, one fine day, there was this automated chat that started coming in, and we started talking about, where is my order? I want a refund. And some of those queries were automated, but then you also had a human agent. And now, today, most of our interaction with Swiggy and Zomato happens on chat. And if it then needs an escalation, you need a vendor to come in, then a very serious discussion then happens on call. So the consumer in this part of the world is very very comfortable today with messaging, and I think a lot of it is attributed to WhatsApp. With our personal messaging coming in, it's a very very popular medium. So messaging is, people are very very comfortable. Even my mom is very comfortable today doing messaging. Now, if we combine these two paradigms, right, search as a discovery and real-time messaging as a conversational medium, what would happen, right? What would happen if those hundreds and thousands of queries that are being searched in can immediately be channeled into a real-time conversation? And that's the area where Google Business Message comes in. And at this point, let me bring in Rob. Rob, I have a couple of questions to you. I know that Google, if I may say, owns search, but how did you guys think about, what made you think about search to messaging as a channel? Was there a trigger? And I know that Google My Business for small businesses, perhaps was the origin of this idea, but how did then it translate into Google Business Messages?
Yeah, and I think you've set the stage sort of nicely. I think my answer just sort of knocks it in the hole. Like, I think, most things at Google, we start with sort of user needs, like how do we help Google users? Clearly, search is a significant sort of size product with significant numbers of users with very high usage frequency. So we're always trying to make search better. How do we give users what they want? And I think you laid out some of those user journeys are pretty ugly. Like you start off, you want to call your bank, or maybe don't want to call your bank, but you want to understand why you're overdrawn, or you want to change your flight, or you want to change the data plan on your family's mobile, or whatever it might be, and you struggle to do that in a self-serve way, so you end up, calling the business. So you start on, in a browser, you search, you go to a website, you find contact us, you find a phone number, you come back out, you dial the phone number, you wait. Like that's a painful journey. Like that's not a good thing for a user. Like that's frustrating. We're all busy. We're all doing 3 things at once. And trying to find time to do those things is tough. And Google's like right at the beginning of that user journey. So that's sort of point of discovery where you set off in a direction. Google's responsible for that. So we're sort of, we think about that as being, something that we could look at. And then I think the other sort of thing is we're all consumers. We've all stopped calling each other up. We live in messaging apps. Like, I think 5 of the world's top 8 messaging apps by active users are messaging apps. Like, and we'll use different apps for different people at different times, but we're very good at this asynchronous, continuous sort of threaded conversations that we dip in and out of, and you don't have to respond immediately. It's not like a phone call where you have to pay attention and respond. You can wait an hour or a day. So that sort of we've sort of adopted that asynchronous mode of kind of conversing with each other. But when it comes to contacting the bank or the hospital or the retailer, like we have to sort of drop back into that maybe old-fashioned mode. So it's really trying to bring those things together. How do we give consumers what they want, give them something that's easy? So you can be listening to a webinar and at the same time getting out your phone and sending a message and asking what time the store closed. Have you got this in stock? Can I come and pick it up this afternoon? Like you can do those things at the same time. So it's really trying to give consumers what they want, but at the same time, give businesses what they want. It's kind of like a marketplace product. Like on one side, there's the consumer, on the other side, there's the business or the enterprise. And I think it's the real fun thing here is it's better for the customer. Like we get really high customer satisfaction scores, but also it's good for the business. It's easy to automate. You can put bots in place. It's easier for agents to respond. You don't have to respond immediately. Like you can be more efficient. So it's cheaper. It's better for the business, and it's it increases customer satisfaction. So it's it's really that was a long answer, but yeah, I think it's around those 2 threads.
When I looked at this first, and we guys had partnered with another messaging use case with WhatsApp, and we were thinking how this is different. There's a huge difference between how this would impact conversations versus, and both have their different entry points. With WhatsApp, there's a notification which typically leads to a conversation, right? So let's say there's a collections pending, and the brand is reaching out to the consumer, reminding him of the collections, and then a conversation starts from there. That's the use case that we have seen really being adopted. Whereas here, there is an intent from the consumer already to converse with the brand, and we are just making it extremely simple for the consumers to do that. That whatever friction was there in this whole journey, it completely sort of from within the browser window on the mobile, or the maps window from the mobile. If there any question that he can get the answer the fastest. So yeah, I think there's an opportunity here to disrupt search to answers or search to lead, whatever be the intent, as a medium, and take the lead in that medium. So if you look at the journey post, somebody implements Google Business Message, and there are various entry points, and we'll talk about entry points, but the simplest that I could think of is search. So whether it's local or non-local, somebody was searching for a brand, and it could be beyond the brand, but let's take a simple use case of somebody was searching for a brand and there was a question in mind, and it showed the listing. Now there's a message button, and all of you can actually try searching for Ameyo, for example, from your mobile browsers, and you will see, if you're a first-time user, you will see that there's a very smart call to action button, and we'll be showcasing that. And you can actually start a conversation with somebody from Ameyo right from within your browser. Now think the same, and we'll be showing 2 use cases of brands that have implemented Google Business Message. And this could be, the use case could be as a sales marketing acquisition use case, a customer service use case, a support use case. The journey is absolutely seamless. You don't leave the browser. It's very, very natural interface, and it stays on your browser. If you want to later on refer to those conversations, all of it is still available for you. Some of the obvious benefits, and we've broken it up into 2 parts. One is for the marketing use case, a direct connection with either local business searches or searches. Acquisitions, we expect the conversion from search to whatever was the end intent to go up with this channel, and faster conversions. Now, why we say faster? Because any other journey, there are at least one step, or if in most cases more than 2 steps involved after somebody has searched for you, right? And this could span 24-48 hours, so somebody filling a form and you getting back in touch with them. A lot of people have been asking questions, what percentage of conversion can one expect? And I was talking to Rob about it. Rob, if let's say I put you on a spot and say if 100 people were searching, went to the website, filled the form, versus 100 people searching, and a percentage of that comes to the GVM interface. First of all, what percentage do you think will use this interface today and eventually? And then those folks, is there a increased conversion that you guys foresee? And can you give us an
good question. I don't know if I'm going to give you a good answer, but I'll try. So I think this is it's Google search, so we're changing the way search works. We're putting a message button there. We launched the product in June this year, but we've been running pilots for over a year before that. You mentioned there's a sort of history of this product for Google My Business and small businesses, and that's more than 2 years old. So every pixel in search is sweated over. We understand how users respond. We understand what they respond on. We understand what the value of those things is. Like, do they have a sort of nourishing, successful journey beyond those things? So we're only doing this because we know it helps customers and we know it helps businesses. So it's, we're not doing this and hoping it's going to work. Like, there's already a strong kind of cohort of data that this is something that makes search better and really helps businesses and consumers. So that's good. In terms of a percentage, I think if we look at, one of the things Google doesn't do is sort of publish click rates or impression numbers. So I can't talk about those things, but I think the businesses that are live, and we have over 600 businesses live using this product today, most of my day is spent talking to those businesses, and a lot of those conversations around how do we drive more volume. Like the contacts that are coming through messaging are high value. They're sort of they're easy, they're low cost to handle in a service mode, and in a sales mode they're converting well. And sort of it's really like, how do we drive more of those things? And for most businesses, you see over time, like 6 months into to launching the product, the engagement increases because users are getting used to this. You don't come to Google today thinking, okay, I'm going to search for my pharmacy and ask them a question. But once you've done it once, you find that's valuable, and then you come back and do it again. So we do see engagement rates growing, and we're doing some fairly interesting things to educate consumers around how to engage this way.
Sure. So when I was talking to my team, and in the latest product discussion that we sat along with the Google product team, I was talking to my team that how many consumers are going to actually click, and I was talking about, if you see that who knows the behavior of a search user, I don't think anybody does it better than Google. So let's say if Google is seeing that the consumers want this, there is a pretty good chance that they actually do, because of the amount of data and not a hunch that you and I can make. But if you see even the first call to action, because there's a change in user behavior. Make no mistake, right? People are going to search, and once they see the brand, from the usual view of clicking the website or calling the phone number, now there's a message icon, which is actually, if you see, very smartly highlighted, because there's a good experience there, and you would start seeing consumer getting educated about it. And once there is a critical mass of people who already know that this interface works like this, I think it's going to snowball into the preferred channels. So people actually might prefer not going to the website and engaging with somebody very quickly. Though I don't think these two use cases are very, very similar, but if they want something understood, if they want to talk to someone about that brand, this channel will become faster than the contact us page. So so let me make a prediction. I think the visits on your contact us pages are going to reduce, and you would see more chats happening right from within. The second, and I've been a marketer in the B2B as well as understand the B2C space well. One of the clear correlation that we have observed is time to respond to conversion. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how fast do you get in touch with them? Let's call that time to respond. So if somebody filled a website form, how fast are you calling them? Versus how many people actually who filled the form converted to whatever was the end state. There's a very, very high correlation. So time, if you reduce the time to respond, the chances to convert are exponentially higher. And I don't think from a search channel there could be a faster mechanism to respond to the user. So given that data point, I think this would convert faster. There's a question that has come in from Chirag. He asks, can we differentiate between the two use cases? My understanding is he's asking, so if let's say there were two different intents and same entry point, could you differentiate the two? I think we can through either a bot or a chip, or even asking the simple question, what are you here for? And let's say you're an airline, you want a new booking, change the booking, file a complaint, whatever are the top cases, you could list them down, and we'll be showing some of those things in the features. But yes, you can. Okay, let's look at some of the early success stories that who have implemented Google Business Messages, and I would invite Rob. Guys, this is still early days for an enterprise-ish use case. This used to be for small businesses, and I think for the enterprises and through partners like us, who basically are customer engagement solution specialists, and making this entry point accessible through an API is something which is very new and something that brands as well as players like us are taking notice of. So, Rob, would you want to take us through the two case studies? And I open the first one for you, a brand which is very popular also. Yeah, go ahead.
So Levi's, I think everybody knows Levi's, and this is live. You can see the slides here. But if you want to test it, if you pull out your phone, if you search for Levi's, I think this is only the US stores, maybe a few European stores. If you search for Levi's New York or San Francisco or Chicago, you'll see a store. You'll see a message button. You can tap and you can go through this process. And I think the first thing to call out is, so you're in a browser or you're in Maps, you start this conversation, you can see the logo and you see a welcome message. So immediately you get some message from Levi's that it sort of sets the scene. Okay, there's a chatbot here and it can help. And then we have what we call these conversation starters, the sort of the chips, the buttons here. So it sort of lays out a menu of different things that you can do. And you could just start typing a question. What time do you close? Do you sell t-shirts? I mean, you can write a question, or you can kind of tap into these chips and really. So that's sort of frictionless from the user. And you'll see here there's a sort of combination of sort of sales and service. Track order, I'm an existing customer, I want to know where my package is, or maybe I want to buy jeans. So it's an interesting blend. Most of their interactions are sales. This is really a sort of conversational commerce, assistive shopping kind of experience, but it's a hybrid. And you'll see here just a couple of screens. So here I've gone through a process. Okay, I want to buy some jeans. I want men's jeans. I've specified my waist. I've specified my leg measurement. Then it said, okay, here are the different types of jeans that we've got that would fit you, Rob. And I can scroll through these, like it's a thumb swipe left to right, and I can see an image, I can see a price, I can see the color, I can see the fit, and I can find the ones that are most relevant. And then I can do two things. I can shop now, so I could buy those jeans, and you kind of go through a purchase process in messaging, and then it clicks out to a website for payment, and I can buy those jeans and get them shipped, or I could find them in a store. So it can also be used to drive footfall into brick and mortar. So if I click on find in store, then it shows me my nearest store that has those jeans in my size in stock, and I can go down and I can try on those jeans. So it's a sort of interesting hybrid of, like, it's starting that purchase funnel that could result in a digital purchase, or it could push me into sort of high street retail. So it's a sort of, it's a nice combination. You can see it's text-based, it's visual. Like we use these, we call these cards, these sort of rectangular units you can use to sort of display choices, give users the ability to choose. So it's a sort of, a nice sort of rounded case study. Sure. Next slide.
And there are a couple of questions that have come up, Rob, so I'll ask a few of them.
Okay, good.
Devinder had asked, is there an API to save the business message conversation into our own database? I'll just take, the initial part of it. Of course, there's an API. That's what is available through partners. You could also take the API and build your own application on it, or you could use a package application like Ameyo, where you have the access to the message, you have the access to the bot and respond as an agent. But you could obviously also take this message into your, let's say, a messaging app that you are building on your platform. Take that API. I believe that API today is available only through partners, Rob. Maybe that's useful for our users to know.
Yeah, so the API is available to Ameyo. They're building experiences. Google doesn't store those messages. We don't know what those conversations about. That's between you and your customers. But the expectation is you would store them. And so when that customer, it's asynchronous. So that customer might come back in an hour saying, actually, I want to buy, some, a shirt. What would fit well with the jeans? Or they might come back in 6 months saying, I love these jeans. I want to buy another pair. Like you should have saved that history or understand the context so you can be relevant to that user when they come back. So absolutely, yes, we expect that you would store those things and continue that threaded asynchronous conversation.
Yeah, the next question that has come is, it'll work for B2C for sure. Will it work for B2B businesses targeting top enterprise accounts? Any use cases? Funny, man, I think of any use case as who's the end user and what is he doing. So if your enterprise user on mobile is initiating or discovering you from his mobile search and there's a conversation use case, this might work. But for the volume, I feel B2C might be a very, very good fit at this stage. But in B2B, for example, if live chat is already a primary medium on your website for interacting with prospects or support, then this might be an interesting use case. Rob, any different takes there on the B2B?
No, I think I agree with that. Like as long as you're showing up in Google search and your customers, whoever they are, whether they're consumers or other enterprises, are finding you through search, then it's a viable channel. Obviously, the volumes will be lower in a B2B use case, but that's the value to you, the customer value is higher. So yeah, it makes sense.
Rob, there's a follow-up on the previous question on API. If I'm a business, why can't I directly access the API? Is there a plan to do that? Why do we need to go through a partner?
You don't need to go through a partner. It's the honest truth. The APIs are publicly available. If you want to come and register and start building experiences, you're welcome to do that. I think most businesses need some help either with the live agent piece, like it's routing through to a console in a contact center or to a retail associates, and there have to be tools there that multiple people can manage multiple threaded conversations and pass those around. So that requires typically a software platform, or you're building some automation and there's some AI and it's integrating into backend to pull images of the jeans or whatever it might be, and typically you need some help there. So it's often you're working with an Ameyo, but it's really up to you how you want to do it.
Yeah, so even through Ameyo, guys, there is no necessary requirement to be using Ameyo platform. We can facilitate the API also, and it's it's almost free. I mean, I think Google is really making it simple, frictionless for you guys to try out the platform. So get in touch with us, or directly register on Google if there's a use case that you want to implement on your own, and test away, as I would call it. A lot of questions are flowing in. What's the difference on our website live chat to Ameyo versus Google messaging? So that's a good question. So somebody has a live chat on their website versus Google message. What would be the primary difference? I could think of one, of course, that you have one less step, but anything else that you feel, me controlling the chat interface on my website versus Google Business Message?
I think the key difference is sort of synchronous, asynchronous. So typically the way web chat works is you tap the button, it opens the chat window, and you maybe get a message saying, please wait while we connect you with an agent. And then,
sure,
seconds or a minute goes by and it says, great, you're connected to Sarah, and then you ask her questions, and at the end Sarah says, hey, have I answered all your questions? And you say, yes, thank you very much, and Sarah closes the session and it's gone. And like, if you've got an extra question, you have to start again. Like, it's like a phone call. You're connected one-on-one with a human. It only works if there's somebody there, and then those threads go away. You can't go back tomorrow and continue on that conversation. Versus asynchronous, which is like WhatsApp or SMS. I mean, it's persistent. It's always there. You can go back at any point in time, and also the business can kick that off. Like 2 days later, Levi's can send me a message saying, hey, Rob, how do you like your jeans? I saw they were delivered yesterday. Is everything okay? Like, both parties can jump back into that thread, which in web chat, once it's ended, like neither party can do that.
Okay, a couple of more questions coming in, and some of them related to features. First, I think is from Vivek. He says, can the business messages be integrated into my own chatbot? Simple answer is yes. It provides hooks as well as interfaces for you to take those messages to your chatbot and respond, and then also hand it over to an agent if required. So very, very rich API. We have already done such an application. You can also do it. There's another question. Is this messaging an application? So there is no application that needs to be installed on the consumer side. He's using a stock Android experience, and from within the browser or the search, or later on in the entry points, you also have a mobile web chat. And for the agent side, it could vary a lot. So for example, he could be on Ameyo's application in our case, on the browser again, and responding to messages from GBM or WhatsApp or live chat, because there is one agent who's responding to all sort of real-time synchronous, asynchronous conversations, and GBM is just one channel, but you could also implement it as a mobile app on your site. Okay, thank you. Does it already has mechanism to handle multiple conversations simultaneously, distributing the chats among multiple agents? It provides you hooks, but that's where somebody like us comes in, that what's the distribution logic? For example, do you want Bangalore chats to go into a separate set of users, Gurgaon chats to go to a separate set of users? Is this local agent who's handling it? Google already has this in the framework, well defined, that you could have local agents or you could have centralized agents, and then there are entry points to those. But Ameyo, for example, does it seamlessly for you. So you could have various configurations of people coming in from the website, and based on the origin of search, getting allocated to agents in a certain location or a store, or you could have a centralized team answering all those, and then your backend system routing that query, inquiry, order, whatever it is, to another team. Okay, how is it compatible with cloud-based CRMs? We would be interested solutions into our CRM. So like any engagement solution, for Ameyo, the interaction can be logged into any CRM post the session closes or as soon as the interaction happens. For Google also, if you're interested in building this on your own, the API gives you access to all those messages and the context and the agent, and you could then write it back into your CRM if you require. So for example, a field sales guy is talking to somebody on Google Business Message, then it can get logged as an activity on his CRM. I think we're going a little bit more into detail. What browsers are supported on mobile? Okay, that's a good question, Rob.
Every browser. So it works on Android, it works on iPhone. You can be using Chrome, Safari, Firefox. I'm sure there are other browsers, but yeah, it doesn't depend on the browser. And it also works from maps and from the Google search. And I think I would also say, like, we're only just getting started. There are other places, obviously, we have Android, we have other touch points where we can kind of trigger these conversations. So you'll see, numerous more kind of entry point launches from us before the end of the year.
Yeah, so right now, the entry points are local search, organic search for the brand, and maps. But I think site links is already something which is underway. Feature snippets is another one. We also know, from hearsay that PPC would be another channel eventually, and there's no clear roadmap or timeline for that. But there are newer channels, and there's a weekly call that partners are having with the Google product marketing team, where we are giving feedback on this. There is a very, very high interest on this channel. We're doing like 20 to 30 demonstrations every week on this product. So I can assure you that Google is responding very, very fast on where else could this apply, and the pace at which this is happening, it is quite incredible for the scale of Google. Okay, very quick, feature. I'll just walk through the features and maybe ask us a couple of questions. So on entry points, as I mentioned, local search, organic search, maps, site links, feature snippets, and the easiest way to experience it is, as he said, you could search on your Android browser for Levi's. I know NetMeds and Lenskart have done some experiments in India. You could also search for those. You could search Ameyo, and you will find a message button on the search interface, and you could actually get connected to an agent right away. Let's look at some of the other things. There are some out-of-the-box welcome message support. There is chip support, so you could immediately segment what was the intent. You could suggest some topics if you already have some context about the user, or past behavior. You're able to identify user, at least if there was a repeat. So if somebody has been talking, and let's say somebody ordered a pizza and then he's coming in again, you could potentially ask, where is my order, right? That perhaps is the first question is gone. So the more you can use the previous context, I think it will become more and more relevant for the users. Chips is an example that we just told you. You could basically segment, give options. You see those round buttons. User could type in free form text. You could respond as text. You could respond as chips. You could respond as rich card carousels. A very interesting use case that we found was when somebody's looking for a quick product feeler, and you could actually show that very quickly within the chat window. Here are the few options, so for example, what colors are available, what plans are available, right? Some of those things, your marketing messages could be very quickly, or the product snippets could be very quickly shown. I see more and more rich media to be very, very applicable in this for the attention that people have today. And that's definitely something, if you're using a sales use case, you could do that. You could also use it for a service use case. So let's say I'm taking a complaint of RO, and somebody can click a picture and share it right within the chat window, and everything gets logged there. I will be taking a few questions. There are a lot of questions coming in, but let me just run this through. Otherwise, we'll not get to. You could have rich cards, for example. You could capture information. You could show in a little bit of forms, links, and stuff like that. There's this important use case, and you could hand it over to an agent. And Rob, I'll also try and bring you in here. I see a lot of recommendation by Google to have a fallback, and not just automated. And there's this campaign that we have been running at Ameyo that human-to-human conversations are more important than ever today because of the anxiety and the pandemic times. But what made Google say that there has to be a fallback? Why did you recommend that a human being seems to be an important fallback here? And not just.
I think we all know, like, it comes from user research. Like most things, we sort of build up from understanding what users want. I think we've all been stuck in IVR systems where you're desperately pressing numbers and trying to find the route to speak to somebody. And I think people, if they're in a bot and the bot doesn't understand them, or their question or their use case isn't supported, it's immensely frustrating, and you waste time, and then you have to come back out, and you maybe have to make the phone call, or you have to go to the store, whatever it is, and that's, so you've wasted that opportunity, and that's immensely frustrating. We don't want that. So you know, we do require that if there is a bot that's answering messages, there is some sort of fallback to humans. Some people, honestly, like the bots and the automation is so good, they're getting over 90% containment in the bot, so it doesn't have to be significant. Like if people want to know what time the store closes, or is the hand sanitizer in stock, you can automate those things. Like you don't need to speak to it. You don't need to engage a human to do those things. That's a back end process, and that's great. Like, so people want speed. Like, you know, we know users want the information quickly, so automation and bots typically get that fastest. So it's, you know, we think a blend, a hybrid is good, but we do want that fallback to live agents.
Sure. And there are three ways in this could be done. There's when a fallback intent is triggered, which means the bot is not able to figure out. Bot is suggesting, but it's not able to figure out, and there's a fallback intent. The second is when the bot itself is detecting that, you know, maybe I'm not able to understand, you know, what is being discussed, and let me bring in a human being. And the third is when the user is clearly indicating that I would like to speak to someone, right? All these three are handled well, and you could have a seamless transition. Gurmeet again asked which messaging client is needed on the consumer's phone. Zero messaging client. You can experience it right now. Just go to your mobile browser, search for Ameyo Gurgaon, Levi's New York. I think Walmart also has an interface there. And you could actually get in touch with their representative, first the bot, and then the representative, in our case, directly a human being, right away, right? In like next 5 seconds, you will be talking to someone. It cannot be faster than this, guys. Okay, I think this is what we wanted to cover on the features, and I know that we have done very quickly. We are doing demos every week for our prospects. If you have a use case, we've already done 3 live deployments on the Google Business Message in insurance, as well as you know, a local store kind of use case. Discuss your use case with our product specialists, and happy to take you through the product. A little bit about Ameyo. We are a 17 years young company in the customer engagement space, working with over 2,000 brands in 60+ countries, mostly emerging geos, and mostly largish B2C brands, right? So banks, insurance companies, retail, travel, that's where most of our customers are, and sales, service, collections are the use cases across channels. So voice, email, chat, social media, you know, is available, and the GBM is the latest channel that we have brought in. We also pretty bullish on video as a channel. We believe that that experience of physical meeting, the closest channel that can come in is video, which has its own use cases. Yeah, these are the offerings. I'll not go too much in detail, but in terms of channels, here are some of the other channels that Ameyo already integrates into the platform. So from email, SMS, voice, live chat, Viber, and now business messages, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of them have interesting use cases, interesting entry points from a consumer standpoint or from a brand standpoint, and business messages for search, I think, stands out. We partnered with Google for bringing the Google Business Message to our customers in emerging geos. With that, Ameyo becomes a single platform. If you want all channels to be handled, we could also selectively pick up only Google Business Message. We could even also provide an API if you already have a platform, and just plug it into your existing bot platform if that is what you prefer. But there's an out-of-the-box offering that we have today, which you can get started. And I'm also very happy to inform that we have launched a starter package, which is at less than $100 a month. I mean, zero friction package for you to try it out, because we believe that this channel needs an experiment first before you can actually validate that what use cases would this fall in. So very low resistance package. Please get in touch with us if you would like to experiment with it. Some of the other testimonials. There's a case study being worked on right now at Google, and that will be released very soon. As soon as it comes out, we'll be sharing it with all the attendees of this webinar. But Walmart, Dish, those are the 2 brands that I'm very aware of. And then Albertsons. What's the use case at Albertsons, Rob? If you
Albertsons is another. It's a grocery retailer, so it owns Safeway. They have like 5 or 6 different brands, but it's a large grocery supermarket. So people buying food products, etc.
Yeah, and for us, we've already done one. There's one use case that we can actually release out, which is an insurance company out of Qatar, and it's a discovery process that we are starting with. Some very, very interesting use cases in vertical, and as I think as newer entry points come in, there'll be more and more use cases that come in. So do experiment with this channel. Okay, we have, I think, 10 minutes for a demo, and please keep the questions flowing in. There were a few questions that folks had asked in the questions that in the form that we had published. Let me see if there are some questions we can take while I bring in Anubhuti from our solutions team to do a demonstration from us. How is it different from Google My Business? Rob, if you can answer that question.
Yeah, so Google My Business is typically for small businesses. So you, as a business owner, you can claim your business listing on Google My Business. It has to be a local business, like something that has a front door, like a brick and mortar business that you'd find in the real world. And you can enable messaging there. So, that's typically then the business would respond by having, they use the Google My Business app on their phone and respond. So it's good if you've got a small business with just one business owner, but it doesn't scale to chains or to service businesses or anything else. So this version with an API has a lot more features, the cards, the carousels, etc. And also it's you can answer it at scale across hundreds, thousands of representatives with bots, etc. So it's really an enterprise product.
Yeah. And this question, I think every time I talk about Google Business Message, this question comes up. What's the difference between RCS and business messages? I know that they are very, very different, but we still get this question. So maybe a very quick take on that before we jump into the demo.
Yeah, so business messages, the product that we're talking about today is, it's an IP-based product. It doesn't require an app. It works on every Android device. It works on about 2/3 of iPhones today. There's no cost to it. It doesn't go through the carriers. RCS is the upgrade to SMS. So it's a telco protocol. So it's changing the way your text messaging, your SMS inbox works to make it more visual. It's phone number addressed. So it's if you send a lot of SMS, RCS is a way of making that better if you're reaching out to customers. If you're sending a monthly marketing message or a shipping notification and you're reaching out to the consumer, then RCS is a way to do that. Business message is more inbound. It's them searching for you and starting the conversation.
I think that's the easiest explanation for everyone. RCS seems to be, the next level of SMS and is primarily outbound when brand is trying to notify to the user using the telecom operator. Whereas here there is no dependency on the telecom operator. This is purely IP from search into your enterprise and a direct connection between the agent or the bot and the consumer on his mobile phone. Okay, Anubhuti, let me invite you in. And I know that I'm putting you on a spot again, but 10 minutes, can we quickly go through one flow of how Google Business Message work?
Sure, sir. So hello everyone, I am Anubhuti. I will be taking you through the solution demonstration today. So I hope you all are able to see my screen. Over here, the screen on the left is the executive screen, who would be handling the chats in case customer asks for live agent assistant. Ameyo executive is capable of handling the customer coming through any channel, either Messenger, Twitter, GBM, WhatsApp, or voice. Today, we will be demonstrating you executive role with respect to GBM as a channel. As you might have also seen that I have mirrored my mobile screen over here, over the right-hand side of my screen. Let me just highlight my mobile screen. So as we have mentioned earlier, most of your customers would first search the business on Google or Google Maps. Let me look for Ameyo over Google Web Search. So over here, I have searched for Google, and I can see the moment I have searched for this brand, we are getting a message option along with call, directions, and the website. This message option would only appear if a brand is verified for GBM. And I will also be able to message or have a chat conversation with this brand via this option. This is So let me just show you that how conversation can be done. So once I have clicked over here, I can see there is a welcome greeting message which has been provided by Ameyo, and there are few suggestion tips over towards the right, which are whether I can opt where I can inquire for solutions, or I can click on talk to us. So if I'll select the solutions, then there are few more options which can be provided. So over here, it is asking me, can you select one of the solution, either whether you want to inquire for virtual contact center, video KYC, collection bot, or any other solution. So this is how this particular brand is creating an experience for its customer. Let me show you another entry point for a lead. Customer often search for a business on Google Maps too. So if I'll open my Google Maps and if I'll search from Ameyo, so you can see that over here I can see directions, I can see call option, I can see a message option as well. As you see, I am directed to same chat window from Google Maps as well, where I can see. So over here, let me just restart it. We have a talk to live widget option as well, or we can go to a home tab as well. So over here, we have seen that this is how we can create a good experience of a customer. We have seen how a customer can quickly reach a chat with a brand via Google search, and I am very sure that nobody will deny the power of Google. Let me search for another brand. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me search for another brand related to banking. Let me search for Pillar Bank via web search. So over here, I can see that there is a welcome greeting message which has been provided. There is some suggestions chips which are there, whether I can inquire for personal loan, fixed deposit, or request a callback. At first, Google mandates the presence of live agent along with bot, so that any customer coming through Google as a channel must have a rich experience, right? So if I'll select any of the suggestion chips, let's say I have inquired for personal loan. Let's see what kind of response I'll receive over here. So it is asking me, can you pick and throw a question on me from below? Okay, I would like to know about the interest rate. Let's see what kind of interest rate they are offering to me. So they are offering me interest rate between 10.5 to 14.5. So which is a good deal. I want to apply for a loan. So once I have clicked over here, they are asking me that can we have your contact number. The moment I have shared my number, so it is important lead for you. Customer has opted for a loan. He has also shared a number. Then from the left hand side of the screen, you can see since it was an important lead for you, it was an important customer, a call has been also initiated in the same time. From this Google chat option, we can transfer the lead in the same time to your CRM, to your database, and then you can use this lead, you can call the customer and you can have a conversation. So with the right hand side, you can see that I have also received a call. Further to it, we can also have some more deep conversation. So let me initiate a chat over here again. Let's say hi. And I can also inquire for, let's say, credit score. I want to check my credit score. Let's see what kind of credit score they are providing. So they need few of the details from my side. They want to know about my profession. And then they are asking me, can you provide your annual income? Let me provide few of my details over here. They're asking for my PAN number. Let's see what happens if I'll give my false PAN card number. So over here, they are checking the valid PAN card number. So over here, I have to enter my valid PAN card number. Let's see what happened next. So now they are asking for my mail ID. And one last information, they are asking for my number as well. So again, it was an important leap for you. Customer has shared all the information. I can see towards my right, my credit score is 782, which is a good score of this customer. And it is an important customer for you. You can offer loans to this customer. You can offer a good rate. And over the left hand side of the screen, you can see a call has been initiated again toward this customer number. Right? So at any point of time, as I mentioned earlier, that customer can opt for a live chat as well. So towards my right, the three dots which you are able to see on extreme right of the screen, I can message a live agent. So once I have opted for this option, I can see I will be getting redirected to a live agent, and from left hand side of the screen, you can see a chat pop-up has been appeared over the executive screen. I can see the customer name over here. I can see the entire previous conversation which has been done. I can see that this customer has checked his credit score. The credit score is good. I can see the previous conversation which has been done via the bot, and I can start conversation from here as well. So once I have replied from here, over the right hand side, over the customer screen, you can see the customer has also received a response. They both can do a real-time conversation. They both can exchange the data file. So let's suppose I want to share a file from here, and it will be getting reflected in a real time over the customer screen as well. So this is how they can do a real-time conversation. You can get the lead generated. You can do a conversation. You can uh, increase the experience of the customer, right? So this was all from our side regarding the demonstration. We will be happy to answer any questions or take any feedback.
Okay, guys, just to summarize, in about 10 minutes, we showed you use cases where you had a consumer coming in from Google Business Message talking to a bot. In certain use cases, if you still want a call to happen, you could escalate it immediately to a call, or you could actually handle uh, live chat from within the same agent interface, right? The same agent was making calls, the same agent was handling all other channels. So if you're an Ameyo customer today, you can just extend this channel very seamlessly, and your same agents can start responding to those inquiries. If you're not, you could start with this standalone channel, and later on, if you want other channels to be also brought into the same platform, absolutely seamless to do. As I said, you could start at about $100 a month. It's a low friction price that we have brought in for the market to test it out very quickly in the enterprise market. Rob, you asked a question. Were you able to see the questions eventually? I don't know whether the setup allowed you to do that or not, but I'll send you
I can't see the question, but if you read it, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. There was one more question from John, who says, when is this launching? This is already launched, guys. This is all live, what you're seeing, and if your brand wants to use that, you could go live in a few hours. Get in touch with us if this is something that you would like to experiment with. So when somebody searches for your brand, there was another question. It's a good question. Can we also put or embed this chat interface into your website very soon? I think we've already started.
Yeah, no, you can do that today. We have live businesses, so you can put that into your website.
Website, what I understand.
Your mobile app and stuff, yes.
Yeah, mobile website only. This is focused on mobile, guys. Google is very clear that it's consumers coming in from mobile who would sort of adopt this first. I foresee that eventually, if channels like website are coming in, maybe on desktop also, but mobile is our priority right now, and that's where we are focusing on. Cool. So I think we've answered most of the questions. Let me see if there's anything left from the list that we had earlier. In the meantime, Shiva, if there are any questions that you have.
Rob, looks like Sachin's connection is lost.
Definitely looks frozen.
Yeah.
We're probably theoretically out of time as well.
So I'll just go through the questions if there are any new questions we have received.
Okay.
There's one question regarding lead conversion. It says that how can I increase lead conversion rate using Google's business messages? And there's one similar question that says, how can I leverage website traffic coming from the search engine to increase conversion rate? So it's basically they're wanting to know how can you improve lead conversion rate.
I think it's an extra engagement point that you can put on your organic search listings. So you're not being charged for this. So as well as having kind of blue links, directions, call information, etc., it gives you a new way to engage consumers. So it's an extra channel from Google Search. So that sort of should increase contacts. I think the reason to use it is to open up that messaging channel. It's certainly not designed as a sort of SEO play that you use to sort of boost your search ranking. In terms of conversion rates, once the conversation started, clearly that varies tremendously by businesses. Like, we work with Walmart, we work with Vodafone, we work with airlines, we work with Levi's. So the conversion rate on flight tickets and jeans is very different to buying groceries. So it's that's going to depend on the business. And in terms of helping you optimize the return there, I think you're going to have to look at sort of analytics and look at what sort of flows, like what intents have the highest conversion rate, what sort of types of user, maybe what entry points, So there are things that we can do to help you there with analytics to optimize after you've launched.
Rob, sorry, I got dropped off for a minute there. This is a very interesting question. If somebody initiates a conversation, just clicks on that message, is that email address now available if he's logged into the browser? Is there any sort of customer data that is already available?
Yeah, I mean, Google knows who the user is, like they're logged into Google, and when they start the message with you, we provide a sort of hashed ID. So when that same user comes back 10 minutes later or 10 months later, you'll see it as the same user. So you can sort of use that ID. So you can authenticate that user if you collect information. Okay, they bought a pair of jeans. Here's their address. Here's their phone number. You can store that. So you tie it to a user account through that ID. We don't transfer any, the email or the name, or we transfer the name. We don't transfer the email or the phone number or any sort of personally identifiable information for security reasons. We are working on some features, like if you want to do registration, like you want to collect email and address, Google likely knows what that is. So we can build a card for the user, say, hey, do you want to give this information to the bank? And you can say yes. And so they don't have to type those things out. We can do that. So we're making that more seamless, but we're, of course, very conscious of user privacy as we do that.
It's still user choice in short, but we'll make it seamless. For the last question, can I integrate this with my Dialogflow Chatbot? Yes, you can, Niklesh. There are hooks available, and you could also then, for example, if you're using Ameyo, you could pass it again to an agent, or just end the flow in Dialogbot. Or if you're directly integrating, you can then do whatever with that message or the context at a later stage. You could integrate into your Dialogflow Chatbot also. Yeah, guys, I think with that, and I know that there'll be more questions as you guys experiment with it. We ourselves are learning this and are excited about it. But do get in touch with us just for a sake, if just a conversation about your use case and what we have learned from conversation with other businesses. Happy to share that. And Rob, once again, thank you for doing this. I know it's must be late for you, but thank you so much, and it was very helpful for our audience. And thank team at Ameyo for organizing this at a very short notice. This is unprecedented response to the latest channel. Thank you so much for doing this. Have a good day, guys, and let's get those conversations going now. See ya.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Rob. In case of any more questions, you can always write to us. We'll be happy to reply you back. I will be sharing the webinar recording with all the attendees and registrants. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.